The moon is right. I came here once before. They rescued me from the brink of death once, many years ago in the desert. When he learned that I was a scholar, he invited me to come here and revive the might of Hermanubis together. It was a great, daring plan, and one shrouded in secrecy. The Temple of Silence had been bereft of Hermanubis for too long. The strength of its faith and its warriors were waning. Bamoon proposed that we implant bar fragments, shards of Hermanubis, into the bodies of suitable vessels. If the experiment was successful, the spirit of Hermanubis would then dwell within the vessel. Many believers volunteered themselves for the experiment. But we soon discovered that the bodies of grown adults could not withstand Hermanubis' power. In the end, Bamoon offered his own. One other child was identified as a suitable vessel, and his parents agreed.
For many years, the Temple of Silence had been in possession of 2 Ba fragments from Hermanubis. As remnants, the test subjects were sent into a room that had been prepared for the ceremony and instructed to approach the Ba fragment. The original plan was for a 3-stage experiment: resonance, implantation, and recovery and observation. The resonance stage went quite smoothly for both candidates. As the 2nd stage began, I realized a decision had to be made. Should we implant the fragments one at a time? This would allow us to monitor the results after the first round and adjust our plan accordingly. Or alternatively, we could implant each fragment in a different vessel at the same time and compare their effects. But as I was deliberating, both Ba fragments suddenly became active. They glowed with a light we had never seen before. I knew that if they were not implanted right away, they would disintegrate and be gone from the world for good. Our 2 vessels had both displayed great promise by successfully resonating with the fragments. Under the circumstances, the thought of implanting both fragments into the same vessel seemed out of the question. To preserve our faith and our power, we implanted each of them with a single fragment.
Ultimately, I ended the experiment and left, taking one of the children with me.
In recognition of your past contributions, I chose not to send someone to hunt down and kill you both. Your lives were spared, but I have paid a great price for your betrayal ever since. I have always wanted to see you, Cyno. Losing you and your Ba fragment dealt us a devastating blow. We've been in decline ever since you left.
I see. So that's how I gained my power.
Look, in essence, I borrowed your Ba fragment for a decade or so. And now you are seeking justice. If you want to take my life, then so be it. I'm an old man now anyway. But you cannot lift a finger against Cyno. He is the General Mahamatra. Your actions would be seen as a declaration of war against the Academia.
I'm sure you don't remember anymore, dear Cyno, but you've met us all before. You were so young then, when we all gathered around and celebrated the revival of our Lord. You and he, Sethos, you were our final hope.
You'd like me to return my power?
As a follower of Hermanubis, I have allowed this power to remain in the rainforest for far too long. Now, it is time to reclaim it.
That power is not yours to reclaim. Cyno was chosen by the gods. You cannot take what—
You are wrong. Cyno was chosen, but he was not the only.
So those are your terms for freeing the professor?
Despise me all you want. My sins are my own. The Temple of Silence is an innocent party.
So what you're saying is, the power of one Ba fragment is not enough?
Divine power causes great suffering to those who wield it.
He is no longer a small child. But regardless, this burden is ours to bear. And your objections mean little given that you
Both my heart and mind are telling me that what you are proposing...
Don't listen to him, Cyno.
I know. But if this is a question of your freedom...
Sorry to interrupt, but in my view, there are a number of contentions here that say that Cyno refuses to return his power, and you also refuse to release Cyrus. That you're trying to gauge where we stand while keeping your remaining cards close to your chest.
Wait, those ears. So, we have a descendant of the Valukashunai. Everything we have longed for, Hermanubis will provide. Perhaps this very day we'll...
Why is he coughing so much?
Pamoon, you...
Take our leader back to his room. Grandfather, I don't like to drag out conversations. Had Cyrus not stopped the experiment all those years ago, the plan would... Still, it's no use talking about what-ifs. I'm not like my grandfather. The Temple of Silence has a grand legacy and a sacred... But I see things a little differently. I don't believe the temple has the same stature that it once did. Time has... So I'm not going to force your hand. You're all free to leave. Except...
You have courage and wise judgment, kid. Reminds me a lot of Pamoon in his younger years. I truly wish that the temple would take an objective look at the academia, and things will only continue to improve. Why not consider cooperating with...
If you hadn't betrayed my grandfather, I might well be open to persuasion.
Tainari made a good point earlier. He said there has to be... All you and Ba Moon are after is the Ba fragment. The professor will ultimately... You want to trade the Ba fragment...
I'm glad to see you're giving it some serious...
I won't forsake my professor. Nor do I intend to run from a problem.
That works. Then I'll be waiting to hear your verdict. Oh, my grandfather still has a fair...
Are you sure about negotiating?
I need to think this through. Everyone, let's meet again.
All right, well, don't put too much pressure on yourself.
I've taken some time to reflect on this. If I had to guess, he's a stubborn man who tends to double down when he feels strongly about...
I agree. My master Nephis said...
So that's one thing. You've heard all you need to hear about the Temple of Silence. My own memories of this place are hazy, though. Probably something to... I do remember having some fleeting moments of profound emotion when vague images would appear in my mind. I was still young then, and all I could understand was that there was a strong will inside my mind. The power that came to inhabit my spirit was probably one of the cornerstones of their whole faith. So if the will and might of Herman...
You're not gonna give in to their demands, are you? Surely there has to be another way.
No. I have no intention of returning it. I need this power to protect, so I will challenge them head on and win the right to.
This reminds me of something Alhaitham mentioned to me just before we left. He said that the Kaveh has made similar observations about the desert tribes from his work trips there. He says many of them have their own internal. I think we could turn that to our advantage.
Wow, and just like...
Looks like we have the same idea. Turn it back on them now while we still can, in terms that they cannot refute.
Great. And I know just how to start the conversation. Let's go find Seth.
There is no escape! Illusion shattered!
Sethos, let's talk.
Have you made up your mind?
We'll get to that, but first, I have some.
I have no objections, although we do.
Only one way to find out.
Follow me. Keep your voices down.
Let's talk outside. Bamoon has fallen into a deep coma, and he appears to have sustained a serious injury in his youth. Regretfully, I must inform you that...
Yeah.
You're his heir, aren't you? You clearly have a lot of respect for the man. But you also see... So tell me how we can end this on your terms.
Yeah, there's no time to waste.
You know, the two of you are actually in a very
Right. And you didn't create this.
You're right. We both... I accept, Cyno. This all began... Legend has it that when Hermanubis first arrived in Tuletula, he sparred with the city's residents. That group of supporters, were some of the first members of the temple.
Sounds very fitting.
As a fellow vessel of Hermanubis, your ties to the Temple of Silence run deep.
3 against 3. Sounds good.
However, I have some additional terms. As the challenge, letting Cyrus leave with one of the Ba fragments was a mistake, made by my grandfather out of pity. It is a long-standing issue that must be addressed.
None needed. If I win, the Temple of If you win.
It's a deal. Then let's meet at the ceremony.
Well, after how...
There never was. Turning back hasn't been enough.
You have to win. You need this power.
Yeah, that's right. Besides, it stayed with you.
Yeah. When you put it that way, I thought...
Exactly.
The Traveler and I will never lose.
And neither shall I. The desert was home to an ancient and great civilization that, for a variety of reasons, fell out with the civilization of the rainforest. But there must be personal factors at work here too. I can't shake the feeling that Bamoon cares for many more things than he let... Tomorrow, everything will be resolved.
We gather on this day to perform once more the rite of duels with the greatest of all sages, Lord Hermanub. This is our most sacred of ceremonies, and no disruption from representing the Temple of Silence.
Grandfather, you're here.
A rite of duels, after all.
I know what I'm doing, Grandfather.
Representing the Academia, the challengers.
Ready. We will fight to have our voices heard.
Warriors, take your positions and we come not to debate what brings our challengers here, nor what will become of the defeated duelists.
Huh? Are you sure?
I agree. He's very strong. Sending him...
Okay, then you're second.
Sure.
We have decided.
So have we.
Duelists of the first bout, please step forward.
Don't forget, safety first! Hey, you there! You better play nice with him or Paimon will make you regret it!
Little bit too much chatter from the audience over there.
Hey!
Scatter!
Propagate!
A swift end to the first bout. I now invite the duelists. When you're both ready, you may begin.
Let's begin.
Watch out!
Go, Tainari, go!
He drank plenty of water before the bout, so he should be fine.
Let's nip that in the bud. Yeah. 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 Oh, one thing after another.
Thus ends the second bout.
I'm ready.
So am I.
This is the final stage of the rite. I remind you both that when you're both ready, you...
I am Sethos, vessel of Hermanubis. For many years, we have kept our covenant with Lord Hermanubis by guarding the secrets of King Deshret. We earnestly sought Lord Hermanubis' wisdom, and now I will fight to become the rightful wielder of that...
I am Сайно, General Mahamatra of the Academia, student and successor of Cyrus, the Sage of Spantamad. I fight in defense of my power, my professor, and my nation. And you. I think you left some things unsaid. This is a sacred duel, and
Everyone. My grandfather is a wise leader. He is also known to be a ruler, but our faith has held us back for too long. Times have changed. The people of Sumeru. Then I thought of you, Cyno. Each Ba fragment of Hermanubis stands for something different. I once thought that the nature of our fragments must...
I am more than just a warrior. I am my own person.
Exactly.
The name Hermanubis has left its mark on both of us. So show me your answer, Cyno. Show me I can be more than my faith, more than the power I wield. Show me the person I can... Bring it on!
That's all you've got? What happened to searching for your answer?
Fight's over. Do you yield?
You won.
Well then, looks like you found your answer.
I give his glory to you.
I've seen that light. That is the light of our Lord, the great Hermanubis, priest over all other priests. His spirit dwells within that lightning, and his will lives on. Once a warrior of Tynar, he emerged from the barren desert sands to serve the god king Al-Ahmar. After the death of the god king, Hermanubis gathered his followers and the Tynarian priests and led them to the city of Tule-Tula. There, they founded the Temple of Silence, and from that day forth, we became stewards of all knowledge that survived from King Deshret's civilization. Barely a century passed before war ravaged the desert. One by one, Eremite leaders took up arms against each other in battles that would devour what little remained of their civilization. Only the wise city of Tule-Tula was spared under the guiding hand of the Tynarians. But peace did not last. Coveting the knowledge of King Deshret, the beasts set their eyes on Tule-Tula. The king of Gurabad laid siege to the city and ordered the sages to surrender to him the Temple of Silence as proof of his victory. The ruling elite colluded with their oppressors, betraying the temple so as to hold on to their rule over the city. They declared that the knowledge guarded by the temple was the true cause of corruption. These were dark days, and we faced enemies on all sides. Our Lord had long since exhausted his strength, keeping the forbidden knowledge introduced by King Deshret at bay. To ensure the temple's continued survival, he broke his being into many pieces and began the ceremony of Hermanubis' legacy, bestowing his power upon his mortal followers. With this power, the temple was able to defeat the tyrant's army. Yet, we were not hailed as heroes. Strange and unfamiliar as this power was, it struck fear into the people's hearts and drove them to reject us. In the end, the people of the temple and the Tule Tula Tainarians left the city for good and made their way to the rainforest. What followed next was inevitable. The elite of Tule Tula fell and were decimated. War engulfed the desert. And we wandered from place to place, always in hiding, all the while keeping close watch over our secrets and staying true to our mission. Betrayal forced us out of the desert and into the forest. Then mistrust drove us from the forest into the desert once more. We have lived in exile for far, far too long. Yet, today, the Temple of Silence has borne witness to the glory of Hermanubis once more. Thank you.
How is it? Do you feel okay?
Grandfather.
Hey, Sethos.
I know.
I guess you were prepared for this.
Yeah, he's been on death's door for... At least, he was able to see this chapter.
What's next for you?
Per my grandfather's last wishes. The Temple of Silence should...
But that's never going to work, as I did foresee this possibility and I gave it some thought. The fact is, Sethos. Were it not for this duel, or indeed if you had other intentions, I do.
Still, I didn't think Bamoon looked very surprised by the...
Well, in any case, since Sethos, I would like you to succeed Bamoon as the new leader.
But...
No, it doesn't. This experience has allowed... That's a much bigger deal than you might think, Sethos. You said yourself.
I will try.
Actually, part of me wonders whether Bamoon's intentions from the very beginning was just that way. No matter who won, one of us would have to surrender our... Had you won, the Temple of Silence would have doubled. And were I to win, he correctly anticipated that I wouldn't suddenly drop everything to become the leader of the... He knew that the Temple's future would depend not just on the guidance of Hermanubis, but the support of the academia too. His plan meant that whoever ended up succeeding him, they would have an easier time interacting with the academia.
And here I thought the General Mahamatra wouldn't care for all the... You're absolutely right. Grandfather and I considered this from every angle. Thank you for everything, Cyno. As a gesture of our gratitude, to those that... The Temple of Silence has a wealth of information on King Deshret's civilization, but you must be exceedingly careful with your selection of By the way, Tighnari, my grandfather was so happy to see. The story goes that King Deshret chose the sage Hermanubis from among the Tighnari. He went on to fight many valiant battles with his Tighnarian companions. They always stood by. The Tighnarians who left Tuletula joined their human counterparts in the rainforest. A few centuries later, when some of the group returned to the desert, many of the in all likelihood...
How fascinating. My father once mentioned that I was named after the Tighnari.
I like this story.
By the way, has any...
yes. Cyrus. You'll probably
If it's true that you and your grandfather really planned for...
Who knows? Perhaps...
Someone's got to make the decisions when history... I will make a detailed report on all of this to Lesser Lord Kusanali. I'm sure you'll have lots to attend to in the days ahead. But once things return to normal, please come and visit the rainforest again. If we're going to work together, both sides have to get to...
I will. All right, well...
See you soon. Come hang out with us anytime.